Hi guys, it's Danny and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about building a house because I built a house and it was a really stressful learning curve for me. So I wanted to give you guys some tips in case you were going to build a house and what type of block to get and just a few bits and pieces so that when you're looking to build, you know a couple of little things that I wish I'd known before I started building a house and picking a builder. So firstly, I just wanted to start off with buying a block. I've just made some notes. If I look down, I'm sorry. It's just I wanted to have a bit of structure with my video and make sure it wasn't a waste of your time to watch the video, and also just as informative as I can, as quick as I can, because I know your time's precious and I want to get as much information to you as I can. Buying a block. There's a couple of things that you need to know when buying a block that will make your house so much more expensive, it's not even funny. So say you go to a building place and they say it's going to be $200,000 to build this house and you get this house. That's fine, but it doesn't include site costs and other bits and pieces that I'm going to go through. So buying a block, you first have to know that a flat block is best. My block is not flat. In fact, it has an 8-meter drop. With my 8-meter drop, it actually increased the price of building a house by $100,000 because all the piering and all of the stuff that goes under the house, they have to make sure my house doesn't slip down a huge slope. Now, another example, mine slopes at the back. So if it slopes at the front, that can be another problem, especially if it's high at the back and low at the front. Your driveway is going to be steeper than anything, especially when you get older. If you want to live in the house forever, it just basically means it's going to be really dangerous for you. And yeah, just backing back and kids playing in the driveway, it's just not going to be fun. So what I suggest is to make sure that your block is flat. Now, just looking at a block, you may think it looks pretty flat. Mine never looked flat, but you might think it looks flat. I would just get that checked out before you actually pay a deposit on the block because, like I said, it can make the difference of $100,000. Another thing that could cost you up to $20,000 is if you're in a bushfire zone, which means everything on the outside, such as weepus, which is the stuff that goes in between the bricks, fly screens, and pretty much all of your outdoor things need to be fireproof. And to be fireproof, it costs a lot more money. Just make sure what the BAL, bushfire rating, is so that you can make an assessment as to how much that's going to cost, because that's important and it will throw a chunk of money onto your mortgage. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was, in this day and age, it's very hard to buy in Sydney. So young people like myself and my husband have been looking for properties and houses outside of the Sydney region. We have found a beautiful block with a great view, which is amazing, but it does not have town water or town sewerage. So that put an extra $46,000 slap straight on our mortgage. So it's really important that if you don't have town water or you do have town water, you're fully aware. During your building process, you actually have to have running water on the site for the people, for the bricklayers, for the concreters, all of that type of stuff. So you have to get water carted in because it's not hooked up to a house, so it's not, you're not collecting it from the rain. So you have to make sure you fill it up regularly. They will call you and tell you we need more water. They broke 3 pumps of ours because you have to keep a pump on site so that the water is running. So that was another added cost that we didn't like. The first one we put there was $2,000. That broke. So then we were buying cheapies from Bunnings for the rest of the time. So I can understand why that may have broke, but for a couple of uses by some tradies, it doesn't seem like that would break, but it broke. And yeah, so we had to come up and replace that quite a few times. And it's not a matter of just plugging one in and taking it off and plugging it in. You need like full-on plumber's tools to get it on and off. So that can be expensive as well. And also, if you don't have town sewerage, but you have to get a septic tank installed, whoever builds your house won't do this for you. I'm 99% sure. You'll have to do all of this yourself, organize your plumbers, and there's some really big information coming on that. So I might leave that until the end, but just buying a block wise, make sure it's got town water and septic or town sewerage, because that is a big thing that's going to slap a huge amount of time and a huge amount of money and a huge amount of stress on your building a house. Okay, so another thing that you'd need to know when buying a block is what the land is valued at. So you might buy it for, say, $300,000 or $200,000 and it's only worth $100,000. So it's really important that you check how much that it is and then negotiate on that. Also, when you're buying a block, you'll need a conveyancer. So that's basically someone who works between you and the owner of the block to negotiate, to make sure the paperwork's correct. She'll talk you through everything and basically act as your conveyancer through that time, all the way from your deposit through the paperwork all the way to the end when the block is yours. Well, that's buying a block. The next thing that I want to talk about is picking a builder. Now, there's a number of things that you look at when picking a builder. Firstly, price. Do you like their design? Do you build a rapport with them straight away? And also, how long will they take to build? Some builders can take 2 years to build, some can take 6 months. Now, this doesn't mean when you pick a builder, you get a house in 6 months. Oh, no. There's a lot more into that, and I will get into it at a later stage. But there are different building times, okay? So when you pick a builder, make sure that the building time is not too long, because you will have to pay at least part of your mortgage while it's building, and I will get onto that as well. There is so much information in this video, I don't even know if I can fit it all in one video, so I may make this a two-parter. So when picking a builder, you are picking the lesser of evils. Now, with a sloping block, not everybody will build on it, which gave me the choice of 2 companies who would build on my block in my location. So I had to pick the lesser of 2 evils there. The staff turnover in building companies is so high that basically the person you meet, the person who looks after you, the person who, they all change all the time. You can't have a conversation, you can't have a relationship with someone where you can just call them up and say, "Hi John, can we talk about this? I don't know what to do," and all of that type of stuff. We actually had a lady managing our account who was very slack with helping us. She would answer my questions in the most building jargon you have ever seen. And when I explained that I needed it in layman's terms, she basically made me feel like an idiot. And I understand being a mid-20s, building a house is not the normal. And a lot of comments were made about that to me from some of the people that are in the building industry. But what can you do? That's just the decision that I made at the time, and now we have a house built, so it worked out. It was very stressful though. So as I said, the building took 6 months, but the DA, which is the development application, which is basically what council approves that I can build on that was in the council for 7 months. And that doesn't include contract prep time, contract signing time, the DA making time, after the DA organising everything. It doesn't include any of that. So we bought the block in December 2014 and we got the house October 2016. So it took almost 2 years to build, and that's with a 6-month contract. So if you had 2 years, add on another 1.5 years, you would be waiting 3.5 years. If you're paying rent and a mortgage that time, I don't know, maybe you can afford that. Luckily for me, I was staying in a granny flat with my in-laws because they were giving us a head start in life just to save up for a house, which is so awesome, and we're so lucky to have that. And I know not everybody gets that, and yeah, we're just so grateful that we had the opportunity to do that. But if you are renting, you do have to pay a mortgage, and you do have to pay rent at the same time. So that does become hard, and it's why not everybody builds. I understand that. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the contract. I'm actually going to show you my contract. Once you've chosen a builder, you will get a contract. I've just put a piece of paper at the front because it's got my address on it, and there might be a weirdo out there. Hi, weirdo. Yes, so this is my contract, and look how thick it is. So this is my building contract, and as you can see, it's got points, and I'll just explain what it is. It has sections like pre-construction, during construction, and then it will go through each and every room of the house and exactly what is included in the contract and exactly who is responsible for that. Okay, so for example, it'll go through those things. Now what I did was I sent my contract to a family friend of ours who was amazing. He's in the building industry, and he wrote pretty much a 3-page report on things I need to know about the book, and pretty much said it's average and it's pretty normal, but here are some things that you need to know. So when they say it's average and when they say it's normal, that is average and normal to builders. So when you're 26 and you've never bought, owned or built a house before, average is not so average. You don't really know what you're getting yourself into, which is why I'm making this video today. But basically, it'll go through, and for example, it's got soil tests and things that they're going to do, waste management plans, site analysis reports, and then it says stormwater system report by owner. So anything that has these little words by owner next to them is all the stuff that we have to do. Now, because it is sectioned out, that one thing you have to do pre-construction basically is not the only thing you've got to do pre-construction. Yep, has to have a minimum of 10,000 litres on site with a working pump. They do not take any responsibility for the pump, even though they break it a couple times. By owner. Right, and now going back actually now and reading through this, I can understand a lot more than I did when I got it. And it may not seem like, oh, okay, stormwater system report pre-construction. So you might think, okay, I have to go do that. And then who do you call? A plumber. Well, he's got to draw it up. So how much is that going to cost? A couple of $1,000s. So on top of the money that you have to pay Windcrest, which I think was $20,500 plus a couple of other things like an architect designer $400. Okay, so here's one on the list that is during service. It's in the section services. So that basically means like water, electricity, all of those things. And most, I will say, most if not all the services are by owner. So we have to organise and call like Energy Australia and get them to come out and hook up a box, and we have to buy a pole and hook it up to the pole, and we had to buy a private pole. So that ended up costing like thousands and thousands of dollars. And every pretty much week or second week, you find out that there's another serviceman required, there's another job to be done, and there's another couple $1,000s to be spent. So when people say you build a house, you get, when you say you build a house and you pay 20% of the, they say that when you buy a second-hand house, you pay 20% plus stamp duty and blah, blah, blah. You pay 20% of what the house is worth up front. It's exactly the same with building, even though they say it's only 10%, because although you only have to pay 10% to the bank and to Windcrest, you have to pay a lot more. So what we thought we were going to be spending is $60,000, but what we actually spent was $120,000. And the costs are still going to this very day, and our landscape's not finished, and our driveway's not finished. We pretty much have tens of thousands of dollars left to pay, so it's not over. It never ends. So pretty much what you need to do if you decide to build a house and you get a contract is to highlight, not on the main one that you sign, but you need to copy it or find a way to highlight every single thing that says by owner and understand A, what it is, when you need to do it, and how much it costs. And then once you've done all that, at the end of it, someone will come along and say, oh, I'm here to certify you and give you occupation certificate. Where is all your proof, and where are your approvals and your certificates and this and that and the other, and basically give you 100 things to do. So what I would suggest is when you get your contract, to find out who your private certifier or your council certifier is, and ask them, tell them what you are going to be doing and what you need to do. Because what I did was, and I met a lot of dodgy people and got ripped off many, many times. I got my water tanks and my sewage all installed, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And he did it. Pretty much, I was given 2 weeks to get all that done. So that was very stressful. And as I said, you know, we paid this guy the $46,000. We went through everything looked fine. And then we signed it and he did it. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but then at the end of the construction, 6 months later, the certifier said, oh, we need, you either need to hire a hydro engineer to come out and certify and approve all that, or you just need to get your certificates and approval from the plumber that did it. So you think, oh, okay, well, I'll just get my certificates and approval from the plumber that did it. It's obviously going to be part of the cost. And then you go back to the little piece of paper you signed and it says, does not include approvals or certificates. And you're like, how did I not know what that was? How did I not know that I needed that? And why has someone now come along when everything's done and basically told me you can't, you know, get your occupation certificate because you don't have those approvals, and you're gonna have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars from engineers to come out and do it. And then the engineers don't even want to come out and do it because it's all under the ground anyway, because they can't see it. Why would they approve something they can't see? So you really get stuck if you don't know what you're doing, and I have gotten stuck. Also, the person that installed the tanks, even though I gave them all the information that they needed, my DA, my bushfire reports, everything, he installed the wrong type of tanks, and then they've asked me to remove the tanks and then go and reinstall different ones. Hello? Who has time for that? Who has the money for that? What are you doing? What are you talking about? Get rid of my tanks. They just cost like $23,000. It is very important that you personally understand what you need to do. And I think the best thing to do is when you get the contract, while you're finding out, studying and working out what you've got to do, you also need to speak to your certifier and make sure that, tell them, this is what I have to do. What are you going to need from me at the end? If I had done that, I would have saved myself about $20,000. After the house is built, that's when you get certified. So you can't get bins or move in until you get that certification. And so far that's taken 10 months, so maybe a bit more. So all up, I think it's going to take about 3 years for a house to be built. I don't want anyone to get caught out like I did. I had dodgy tradesmen. I was charged thousands more than I needed to. Once you buy your block, you start paying your block off. So it might be, well, it depends how much it is, but say it was $200,000, you'd probably pay about $1,000 a month, and that's your mortgage, which is fine. So you pay your $1,000 a month, and then first, then when you start building, they take a huge chunk out to start up the building. And then you get switched over to interest only. So principal and interest is what you pay on the block as while you've got it, and then you switch to interest only. Now the entire time that they build until the day you get your key, you pay interest only. But the minute you get your key, that's straight away when you pay principal plus interest. As I mentioned before, occupation certificates are a nightmare from hell. Our certifier is slow. He ignores me. He doesn't get back to me. He acts like, well, you didn't ask me. Like, for example, I just got asked by the council for a critical safety inspection certificate. And I called him up and I was like, what is this? And he's like, it's an inspection of the pipes, the stormwater pipes, where they are, and he's got to inspect them and before you cover them over, right? But he came out one time, he's like, you need to cover these stormwater pipes. So we covered them as per his request. And now when I say, can I have that certificate for you checking out the pipes? He goes, oh, we weren't called out to do that. Well, does everyone get one? Yes, everyone needs one. Well, where is ours? Oh, you didn't tell us we needed to do it. It's like, sorry, whose job is this? If you're a certifier and you know I need that, why can't you just say to me, this is, we're going to come and inspect, we're going to do a blah, we're going to do a blah and blah, and have a pack or a list of things that we need to do. Why did you tell us to cover it over and now you need to go and inspect it? It's absolutely ridiculous. It is so ridiculous that he didn't do the inspection while they were uncovered and told us to cover them up. That now what are we supposed to do? I have to get a statutory declaration from the plumber and this and that, and I'm running around doing all of these things, and it's just like, when you could have just done it or could have just mentioned, oh, by the way, you're going to need this before you cover it over. But instead he's like, cover it over. You didn't ask me to do that. Who's in the building industry, mate? Is it you or is it me? This is why I said to you when you get your contract to definitely go and talk to them and get them to give you a list, or at least show them, this is what I need to do for my house. What are you going to ask me to do? Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I know it's an extremely long video, but I hope that at least helps somebody out there and save somebody thousands of dollars that it could have saved me. Yeah, so that is my advice on building a house in Sydney, Australia, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.